couple of laws have been passed by the West Virginia Legislature that should help the West Virginia Mountaineers moving forward. In this episode, I'm going to be joined by West Virginia State Senator Brian Helton, and we're going to discuss these pieces of legislation and what exactly it means for the Mountaineers. And I'll even ask Mr. Helton, are there any other bills that could be addressed in the next legislative session that could affect West Virginia Mountaineer athletics? This video is in no way an endorsement of Mr. Helton or any other political candidate or political party. It is strictly a video to discuss West Virginia Mountaineer athletics. I hope you enjoy the show, so stick around and we'll have that conversation with Senator Helton right now. What is up, and welcome to this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college sports news and analysis surrounding the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Big 12. Today we are going to dive into some very interesting topics surrounding West Virginia sports, and we're going to talk a little bit about NIL and some legislation that has aided West Virginia and Marshall University and other schools, for that matter, in the state of West Virginia when it comes to name, image, and likeness and other things. And to have that conversation, we're joined by Senator Brian Helton from the 9th District of West Virginia. Mr. Helton, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited about being on the show today.
Absolutely excited to have you, man. And I've been wanting to.
Yeah.
I actually have been wanting to get somebody on the show to discuss this from the legislative side, or even from the WVU side, or someone that's more versed on it than myself. So it's a pleasure to have you on to kind of give myself and my viewers and listeners out there a little bit deeper dive into what I know. There were two bills I think that you all passed, I guess, during the last legislative session that the Governor Morrison eventually signed into law that impact West Virginia University and even Marshall as well, to be fair to them. But basically in-state institutions when it comes to name, image, and likeness. Can you explain the two bills and, kind of what they do and how they help West Virginia University?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so the bills kind of work together. They're both focused on the NIL situation. There's around 30 states that have passed similar legislation, but it really positions West Virginia University and Marshall University athletics to be competitive, and particularly with WVU, where we're in the Big 12. It's important that we, as a state, from a legislative body, protect West Virginia sports and make sure we have a platform in our state that allows us to be as competitive as possible in the new NIL world. Now, there's a lot of people that aren't in favor of the NIL, obviously, but it's the world we're in, and we're part of it. And so being a part of that, we know that there's investment that has to happen. There's things that need to take place that allow the freedom of our university officials to make sure we're as competitive as possible for both WVU and Marshall.
Yep. Thank you. Can you explain the two bills that were passed individually?
Sure. Yeah. So the bills again kind of work together, but the main thing here is it protects the university and allows them the platform to use name, image, and likeness as a university. It frees up them to actually spend that money. What it doesn't allow to do, it doesn't allow appropriations from the legislature, but it does allow them to use those funds. Additionally, it protects the university and the athletes in some sort of breach of contract, or it protects them also from the NCAA interfering with that NIL process. We also put in some provisions that prevent certain types of advertising for the athletes, gambling, alcohol, those sort of things. But all in all, it really positions WVU to be on a good level playing field so that they're free of penalty. They have freedom from the legislature, from the government, executive branches, or any other branch for that matter, to successfully implement NIL and bring in as much money as possible to help bring these athletes in, because we all obviously want to see our Mountaineers be successful.
Right. And they're able to bring that NIL in-house, if I'm not mistaken. Is that how that works?
Yeah, that is correct. And again, that's the important part, is that you clear that legal landscape up so that there's the ability for the university to use that money the best way they see fit in terms of uh, interacting with the groups that contribute to be able to set up funds. Of course, we've seen some changes recently from the university in terms of scholarship numbers, in terms of how that money is going to be utilized. And I think that's all extremely exciting news to see us go from 260 scholarships to 400. to really across all of our sports to be able to compete and have those dollars available, I think is really exciting for all of us as Mountaineer fans.
Yeah. And what type of protections does it give as far as from the NCAA? Like, does it prevent them if there's an NCAA law on the books? Does the state law supersede that, or how does that work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it does, and it actually gives legal protection to the university from any penalties related to NIL from the NCAA, because
Right.
you want to make sure that as these programs are rolled out, that and again, 30 states have passed similar legislation. We felt like it
Right.
was time for us to step up to the table, make sure we gave our university, both WVU and Marshall, that same ability as the other states to protect themselves. Also, in the bill, we felt like it was important to protect the university from breach of contract. So let's say, for an example, we have $1 million guy, and that money starts being distributed, and then the student doesn't come or reneges on the deal. We wanted the university to have the ability to come back as well and give them
Okay.
protection to pursue that situation also. And I felt like it should go both ways. And of course, that bill worked its way through the process, started in House, and we ended up in the Senate with it. And I'll tell you that it was great to work with the athletic departments from both universities that both came on site to the Capitol. We had some good discussions. There was a lot of dialogue back and forth. Jay Taylor in the state Senate was real instrumental. He kind of led the charge on our end, going back and forth with universities to make sure that we had a good bill in place and that really met what they were looking for and what they felt like made them competitive.
Okay. Thanks for I'm glad you clarified that piece of it, because I was curious how,
Sure.
the schools. I think that's one concern fans have is there any way schools can be protected if an athlete, we see a situation like what happened at Tennessee,
Right.
or one that is allegedly happening now at WVU, actually, that I don't want to get into because I don't know the details of it. But
Okay. Mm-hmm.
is there any protections for the school if they've already paid these athletes some of this money and then they
Right.
decide to leave the program mid-season or, mid-fall camp, whatever the case may be? So it's good that those are baked
Sure.
into the bill.
Yeah, I think it's important because there's a lot of money being talked about right now. We've seen
Mm-hmm.
some of these numbers come out, and we're going to be competitive. I mean, we're going to be somewhere near the top of the Big 12 from the numbers we recently came out with, and we're seeing what's happening at Texas Tech and other
Mm-hmm.
places, and it has an immediate impact right now with these transfer portals. So it's not
Absolutely.
like you wait a couple of years for it to kick in. It's like here and now. I mean, look at our basketball roster this year. We've got pretty much, I think, every player except for maybe one walk-on's returning. But other than that, we've got a new coach and whole new team, and those dollars matter right now. And it's just the reality of college sports.
Yep, absolutely. Are there any other bills that might be circulating through the Senate or the House at the state level that might also have an impact on WVU sports or Marshall sports for that matter?
Yep, sure enough. So we're working right now. And again, I mentioned Jay Taylor a little
Mm-hmm.
earlier. He's really taking the lead on this. And we have a little bit of draft legislation. It's not complete, but I'll just sort of give the highlights of it that will allow the university to set up a fund that will be in addition to what's going on now. It won't be any more new legislative appropriations, but it will give them the vehicle and the ability to bring money in to support all the sports that would be involved with women. So all the women's sports. I mean, a lot of people, I don't think fully understand this, but like as an example, WVU does not have a softball team right now. So
Right.
having a women's softball team, I think is really important to university. We have girls who are very competitive in softball. They play on their high school team. They play on travel teams. But when it comes to camps and that sort of thing, right now there's WVU sort of out of the picture. Or if they want to go see a college softball game, again, we're out of the picture. So having that vehicle that will allow the university to focus strictly on women's sports will also free up lots of money for the men's side of things and men's sports. We're looking at things like offering tax credits to donors. We're looking at giving them flexibility to use that money and start up new programs. Myself and Jay Taylor actually went on campus to the Coliseum a few weeks ago and met with Rob Alsop, who
Right.
works closely in the athletic department on these programs. And so I think we've got the genesis of a good bill that's really going to help WVU athletics. And we're just going to have to, again, craft that a little more. We've been going back and forth with the university on language and make sure something's going to meet their needs.
Okay, so there's no new appropriations, so the money would be coming out of existing buckets somewhere. Is that
Yeah,
fair?
yeah, so that's right. Yeah, it gives them the ability to use excess funds. It
Okay.
also, again, with the tax credit, instead of a tax deduction, a tax credit will give donors the ability dollar for dollar to take that right off their taxes. So it makes it a really attractive way for people to give. If you've got sometimes donors that are deciding between one thing or another, and when you've got just a little bit more advantage for, especially for those big dollar donors, it makes
Hmm.
a big difference in their giving. So
But the
we're
tax,
just trying to craft. Go ahead.
it's specifically for women's sports only, though. Is that accurate?
That's correct. Yep, that's
Okay.
correct. That's correct.
Interesting,
Yeah, it'll be
because
for.
I'm actually working on an episode of my show where I'm going to talk about the softball piece, because that
Okay.
came up last week with the new scholarship
Right.
announcement and all that. And Ren Baker has been saying,
Sure.
right now it's not in the cards because we don't have I mean, we got to focus on keeping our current sports competitive, and the millions of dollars it
Sure.
would take to start a softball program is, that's not profitable, would just pull away
Right.
from the current sports, and there's just not enough money there to do that. So I'm
That's right.
assuming the hope is with this new bill that it would create more money for something like that, for example. Is that the hope?
That that's exactly the intent. And yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. It's freeing those dollars up. Because what we don't want to do right now is, again, in this Big 12 environment we're in, and then of course, I think the Big 12 is going to be a top four conference in my opinion once the dust all settles. But being able to compete at that level with men's sports is a real challenge with these dollar amounts for football and basketball. So the last thing we would want to do is do something that would diminish that or sort of pull back
Mm-hmm.
from those sports. What we want to do is add additional revenue that's specifically focused on women's sports. That'll give the women's sports also the ability to compete at the highest level. I mean, we've seen so many of our Olympic type sports right now being highly successful
Mm-hmm.
to university. We want to continue that, but the intent is to promote those women's sports and then add these important sports to our state like softball. I mean, when you're talking about high school girls sports right now, basketball, volleyball, and softball, I mean, those are the big three. And there's so many dollars involved with these travel teams. There's so much competitiveness going on across the nation for these scholarship spots. I think it's important we give our girls the chance to work with the university and be able to support a team by the university.
Well, I'm not a softball dad, but I am a 3-time girl dad and former girls basketball coach. So I do
Oh
have
yeah,
a passion for girls and girls in sports. So I think this is a
love it.
very admirable thing that the university, working along with the legislature, is trying to do. So your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code COUZ. That's code COUZ to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Absolutely.
Has there been any talk about the state of North Carolina passed a bill, I think, a year or two ago about, I think they're taking lottery proceeds or something along those lines and putting some of that towards athletics. Is there anything like that? Sports gambling proceeds, because sports gambling is legal in West Virginia. Anything like that being talked about?
Well, not to my knowledge, not to say it hasn't been. There's a lot of talk, particularly in the off season. We do a 60-day legislative session, so particularly in the off season, there's a lot of discussion about those things. Of course, our lottery's always supported things like our Promise Scholarship and those sort of things for students who achieve these academic standards. I haven't heard anything, but it certainly would be a good model. And you said North Carolina's the state coming up with that legislation?
I think so. I think they have already passed it.
Okay.
I don't know the details off the top of my head, but I think it's maybe revenues from, like, a percentage of the revenues from sports betting, I think, goes towards their public university athletics departments, like NC State, UNC, those, App State, East Carolina, all the public schools, I think, get a piece of it. But I could be wrong on some of those details, but I know there's something similar in that state that I've read about.
Yeah, no, I think that's phenomenal. And you mentioned you coach girls basketball. I coached high school basketball for 20 years, and one thing about coaches is we're copycats. So we like to see what somebody else does and then try to implement that. So I was always a real good copycat as a coach, and as a legislature, we like to do the same thing. So if there's states that have good bills and good laws coming through, we always need to be looking at that. So that's something I will look at. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, if I find the article, I'll send it to you later on. I'll send it to you through an email or DM or something.
Okay, that sounds great.
I know there's been a lot of talk. I don't know how much you keep up with the federal level about, the SCORE Act, the SAFE Act, and some of these other bills that are being floated around. Are you familiar with those, and how would they impact the state level bills that have been passed that we talked about earlier?
A little bit. Tell me a little bit about both of those, and
I'm not super well versed on them. I know, but part of it is trying to carve out somewhat of an antitrust exemption for the NCAA. And I know there's one act floating around where they're trying to put college sports as part of the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961. But I think those two were two different bills. But those are just two examples of some of the language I've seen floating around on social media.
Sure. So I'm somewhat familiar with those. I think in terms of the NCAA, the antitrust stuff, all this is sort of becoming obviously such a huge business. And when you're talking about all these conference realignments, and you're talking about these mega conferences and TV packages and deals, I think those are some important things. I don't have the details on those. I don't know enough about those federal laws, but here in West Virginia, I think the big thing for us is to make sure that our universities are funded and that we can be competitive and keep these guys and ladies coming in here that we feel like can help us win national championships.
Right. Because these schools are the front porches to these universities, which are, increase the visibility for the entire state. Right. And I appreciate you, Self, and others in the legislature that see that and understand the importance of athletics at that level and how important it is to our state, because it's drives a lot of tourism dollars. More students we can get into these universities is great. Maybe especially if we can keep a lot of those young people in state after they graduate, it's even better. So I think that's
such a big key. I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, at the end of the day, I think that's the ultimate goal, is to get as many students at WVU and Marshall as possible and then keep them in the state.
100%. I mean, growing up in West Virginia, I was just such a huge Mountaineer fan. My dad was an insurance agent, and he actually won an award uh, back in, I guess it was 1981. I think that was the year, maybe 80. Uh, that he won tickets for four to the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. And so we all got to go to the Peach Bowl and watch Mountaineers take on Florida Gators in the improbable 26-6 win in the Peach Bowl. And that's when I became such a huge Mountaineer fan and just had a lifetime love going up to Mountaineer Field, going to the Coliseum. Yeah, I was there when WVU beat UNLV and they were ranked number one in the
Hmm.
nation. And what an exciting day that was with Greg Jones and Russell Todd and Lester Rowe and all those guys back in the 80s. So and of course that led me to go to Gail Catlett's basketball camps as a kid, and being a part of all that tradition and all the history of West Virginia sports, I think is important for our kids. It's important for our state. It brings dollars in, like you said, from a tourism standpoint, but it also brings more opportunities for the university to have kids come to school there and want to be a part.
Hmm.
And that's a big aspect of being a West Virginian. I think our fan base, because of the situation we're in with no pro teams and just the pride of West Virginia, our fan base is like none other. The passion and the desire to win is so important to our state, and I think it's an important part. We have just tradition of blue collar workers, our coal miners. Both my grandfathers and practically all my uncles were coal miners. And back when I was growing up, you couldn't always get the game on TV, maybe tape delay later that night after
Right.
the news. But we'd all remember just sit around on days we'd squirrel hunt or be out and about and listen to Jack Fleming and Woody O'Hare on those broadcasts over the radio. And just everyone just took such pride in beating Pitt, and in 84 when we beat Penn State for the first time in 28 years. So all that's just a part of West Virginia culture. Uh, when you sit around and watch games on Saturdays, so the Mountaineers are on, all you got to do is pull Facebook up and you'll see how important it is to our fans across the state.
Absolutely. We have one of the most passionate fan bases out there, and especially on social media. I mean, there's even a lot of, you know, fellow YouTube channels and YouTube creators and podcasters out there that cover the
Right.
Mountaineers as well. There more keep popping up seemingly weekly. So we're very passionate about our Mountaineers, and it shows on all over social media,
Well,
all over the
I
internet.
enjoy your show. Yeah, I told you when we were messaging there, I told you how much I've watched your show on YouTube. So you do a tremendous job, and honestly, you're just so informative. A lot of my information that I get comes from your show,
I
so
appreciate
I'm
that.
appreciative of you being there. No, I really mean that, and
I
it's great
appreciate
to
that.
it's great
Yeah.
to know that for
Well, my
sure.
goal is to be a fan, but yet also try to be as objective as I can be, which is not always
Right.
easy. But that's
Well,
that's the
I
that's the
understand.
path I'm
Yeah.
trying to tread right now.
Well, it's been tough to be a Mountaineer
It has
fan the
been,
last couple of years
for
for
sure.
sure.
Yep.
I'm feeling good about the direction of our football team. I mean, these two freshman quarterbacks seems like, we might have some future there if we
Hmm.
can get everyone healthy and for Rich Rod to have a little bit more time to get things in line. Our defensive coordinator obviously just really comes from Coach Alley comes from a huge background. I think there's a lot of confidence in him. And then, of course, basketball, they just seem to be hitting home runs with this Porter
Hmm.
already. And to bring in the two guards they brought in already, along with some of these recent signees, is just real exciting. So I think I saw somewhere we were predicted maybe to win 17 or 18 games, but
Yep.
uh, you know, coming from where we are, I think we'd be pretty happy with that. But it looks like the future's really bright in basketball as well.
Yeah, I think college was quietly a good hire. He's not a splashy hire like some of these other schools get, but I think he's a solid.
Right,
And with Ren's background in basketball, I think I trust him to
right.
make that decision on that. So, especially the
I agree.
defense he's known to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, just look at what we've been. I mean, there's nobody anywhere in the country that's been what we've been through with our basketball
Oh
coaching
man,
staff the past 5 years or so. I
it's
mean,
been
it's
a
just,
nightmare.
I mean, you almost can't make that stuff up, everything that's happened. It really has. And of course, we're seeing the recent news where it looks like our guy really maybe or maybe not had the injury. And all that whole
Mm-hmm.
situation where we had such hope last year with
Yep.
big wins at home and that exciting time where it looked like we were going to actually be an NCAA tournament team. Then all that kind of fell apart. So I'm optimistic that I think things are looking up for us.
Yep. Same here. Times are tough today, but I think long term, with the legislation that's
Right.
been passed, the moves the university's making, along with the coaching
Right.
hires and some of those moves, I really like the long term outlook of the programs. And let's talk a minute.
I
We got
agree.
to give a shout out to our Olympic sports. You mentioned it earlier: men's
Sure.
soccer,
Hmm.
women's soccer, both nationally ranked. Golf program had a good year. Um,
Right.
Look what Celia McCabe did in on the track side of things. Obviously, another
Right.
rifle national championship. The baseball team is killing it. Uh,
Right.
I mean, wrestling program got ranked last year, if I'm not mistaken. So the
Right.
volleyball team, I mean, having one of their best years, if not the best year in program history to date. So a
Right.
lot of great things going
Right.
on at West Virginia athletically, and I think the two revenue sports or profitable sports are on the way up as well. So I'm excited about it.
I, I agree, and I think that says a lot about our athletic department that in these sports where, and it sort of shows you the importance of NIL
Hmm.
and some of the legislation we passed and the recent move the university made to add those 140 extra scholarships. Because when you look at the sports that weren't just plain dollars and cents, like we're in a world now, let's just face it, where we're buying players. Uh, the management of those teams has been phenomenal by the university because those aren't really coming down to dollars and cents. It's coming down to the good old fashioned recruiting and
Hmm.
getting kids interested in university we were used to. So I believe that with this extra money, with the platforms that hopefully in the legislature we've already given this past year and what we may be able to give this coming year to give them that platform to operate off of. I mean, I'm confident in our two head coaches and the staff, and I just think we've got, the facilities are moving in the right direction. I've heard some talk about, the airport upgrades, and on Clarksburg,
Hmm.
we can get anyone in there, but in Morgantown, sometimes we can't. That sort of holds us back maybe from some conference talk. And I've heard about the potential upgrades to allow us to have concerts and stuff to bring more revenues in. So I think everything we can do from a legislative standpoint that can help in those areas, we're
Hmm.
committed to doing. There's a huge positive view of WU athletics within the Capitol building right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and as a fan, uh, and even as a content creator, if West Virginia can win more games, it helps. It helps me out. It's a lot easier to talk about
Absolutely.
it when things are good.
Yeah. I'm sure that bye week right now after going 2-4 probably is not the peak views, but I'll tell you, I don't even turn on TV much anymore unless it's to watch the game.
Same.
So I'm looking for content providers like you, people who I enjoy watching, who give great information that's real time, that's really into what's happening at sport. I just turn on YouTube all the time and just go through from my news to my sports to almost every part of my viewing pleasure is through YouTube right now.
Well, I
So
appreciate that, and I'm sure all the other YouTube creators appreciate it as well. Uh, Again, we're
sure.
talking with Senator Brian Helton from District 9 in West Virginia, which is Raleigh, Wyoming, and parts of Fayette County. Uh, Senator
Right.
Helton, we thank you again for coming on.
I greatly enjoyed it and I look forward to doing it in the future. If I have any updates, I'll give you a shout and let you know about them.
Absolutely. And for those listening, go to at Brian Helton WV on X or Twitter, whatever you call it.
Mhm.
And then you can check him out if you want to send him an
Sure.
email. Send him an email at brian.helton@wvsenate.gov. So you can reach out to him that way as well.
You got it.
Senator Helton,
You
thank
got
you
it.
again. You have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Let's go Mountaineers and Q Country Roads.